Thanks, Prem, and thanks, Cafe Mutual, for holding this conclave. It's a very insightful conclave. I've been attending this, so great job. The topic that I have selected for today's, presentation is of multi-asset allocation in the new financial paradigm. So actually, when I'm talking to you, I realize that it can be also, put it in another way, wherein I talk about the new financial paradigm first, because the issue of multi-asset allocation or the need for multi-asset allocation in the current scenario is only rising. And I'll give you few ideas that is emerging from the market, which is suggesting that financial paradigm is surely changing, and we should surely equip our allocations to this regard. So to begin with, I'll just cover a few things. That if you look at why we call this a new financial paradigm, the biggest thing is that most of us are seeing already, wherein financial markets are continuously moving higher, but economy and many sectors of economy are not doing well. For example, if you look at stock market, there is a kind of K-shape formation that is happening there, wherein spaces like consumption, pharma, ITs are doing well, but leisure and airlines is not doing well. Similarly, in economy, some parts of the economy are doing well, like e-commerce, but then the other part, which is very important, is entertainment, and again are doing well. So these kind of dislocations that are there in the market are very prevalent. So that's why you would hear lot of K-shaped recovery, wherein one part of the market is doing well, one part of the economy is doing well, and the other part is not doing well. That is a thing that is happening, very frequently. And also, if you look at, there is also a lot of noise that is there in the data. When we say noise, what we basically mean is that one week you will hear the media news channels saying that everything is looking hunky-dory. The next week suddenly people talk about a delta strain coming in, Fed about to taper, and there is a lot of noise. So that kind of noise, the level of noise that is there in the current recovery is pretty high. To give you an example, even 15-20 days back, we were talking about a commodity super cycle that is playing out in the global market. But if you look at in last 3 weeks or so, metal or iron ore prices in Singapore futures, or if you look at Dalian exchange, have fallen by 40%. So suddenly people are talking about a deflation of that trend. So this is another thing that is basically a lot of noise that is there in the data. That is what is causing this problem. And then because of this, there is sharp gyrations in inflation. There are sharp gyrations in economy and its movement. And the result of that is there in the assets also. So what really the new financial paradigm is, this is a new financial paradigm because of these reasons. And because of this, the return expectations that are typically there from investors, have to be, accordingly braced up for the new financial paradigm. And this new financial paradigm, as we enter, in the later stage of the recovery phenomena that we are seeing globally, the thing that will rule the roost, or that will be very important, is that the volatility from here on will only increase. It's not that it will go down. Actually, it will increase, because suddenly some parts of the economy and market will open up. Some parts will again go into closure, like what we are seeing in some of the developed markets, where the cases are again increasing. So this phenomena of up and down will continue. So volatility will be very high. As a result, businesses will have a difficult time in, or challenging time to maneuver their capex program and other things. So as a result, there will be business cycles that will be in a very seesaw move, meaning it will go up and down in a very quick fashion. As a result, your asset allocation would also need to change, because at a different point of times, different assets do well. But when a business cycle is very short and volatile, typically financial assets do well. So that is the background. I thought, more than the presentation, it's important to understand the multi-asset bit. And this is where this really comes in handy, wherein now that we know that financial paradigm is, upon a new financial paradigm is upon us, financial assets are likely to do well, and multi-asset is the way to go forward. So that's why understanding this, I thought, slide was very important. And if once you get the perspective, then everything falls into place, as discussed by other speakers also in this, particular Cafe Mutual conclave. So from here on, like I told you, I have set the perspective right. And just for people who are little quant oriented, look at 2016 to 2020. Every year, a new asset class has done well. In 2016, it was the debt market or the debt returns which were the highest. In 2017, Indian equities were the highest. 2018, cash was highest because everything was tanking. 2019, US equities were highest. 2020, gold was highest. And as we trade into 2021, again Indian equities are the highest. So this kind of this kind of change of leadership continues to happen, and that's why we need a multi-asset allocation in our portfolio. So if you look at from that perspective, and somebody who's planning to invest now, that is, after listening to all the interesting talks at Cafe Mutual, he decides that, okay, enough, I need to take stock of things and I have to start investing. The question that a person would face is based on his risk appetite and goal. If he's planning to invest in equity, he will think that at 16,400 on Nifty, am I entering at the higher levels? If I'm entering at a higher level, should I focus on quality or value? Should I focus on large cap or mid cap? If he is a little risk averse investor, he will focus on bonds or cash. There he'll have his own set of worries whether the rates have bottomed out and the rates are likely to increase from here on. Where is the inflation heading? And if he's a very risk averse investor, or he thinks that this is just a impulse that has gone up and again the market will crash, then he would look at an asset class like gold, wherein gold has typically given a very strong protection every time the equity and market fall together. Example being 2020 March, 2013 August, and 2008 the Lehman collapse. So typically gold has done well in those scenarios. So these are the things that any investor would think at any point of time. The problem here is, after thinking of about so many questions, he's even more confused. There is no answer if you are just focusing on one asset and getting worried by nuances of each of the product. So the easiest way to overcome this problem is look at asset allocation, because asset allocation clarifies thought. Asset allocation helps you in determining a way to enter the market. So the key benefits, if you ask me, of asset allocation are that most important being that various asset classes perform differently at different stages of business cycle. To give you an example, I'm sure 2020 is something that is very much in our active memory. When the COVID crash initially happened, that is in March and April, when the things were falling, the consumption space of the Indian market did well, and the economy wise also, if you look at that area, was one wherein there was continuous demand scenario that was continuously strong. At that point of time, that particular segment in economy and in stock markets did well. But as the economy started to open, it moved to IT, and now as we are talking about opening up of major parts of India, then obviously the cyclical part of economy is doing well. So there are a lot of stocks which are from infra or real estate space or from metal space are doing well. And in economy also, if you look at industry numbers or the latest quarterly numbers also, many of these metal companies and others have reported a very strong bottom line performance. So at different stages of business cycle, different kind of businesses work. So if you make one portfolio and think that that particular portfolio will continue to yield you result over a period of time, that will not happen, because every up and down in the business cycle, different business parts of the business perform. So that is the one thing that you should keep in mind. Second is that with asset allocation, you are able to match the most important thing in any investment, that is your outlook and your risk appetite. So by looking at asset allocation, you are able to control the kind of risk that you want to take. Maybe you want equity, but you don't want the volatility of equity. That might be one of your objective, that is, I want a 15% kind of CAGR over a 10-year or extended period of time, but I don't want the equity level of volatility. So by diversifying into uncorrelated assets like bonds, gold, cash, and keeping some part in cash, you are able to achieve that optimal portfolio diversification. So this is the second benefit of asset allocation. And the third most important is at the current level, because most people are interested in investing right now, but they are thinking that they have missed the bus. Equities are expensive, Fixed income is looking, very expensive again. Gold, some people are not very comfortable with. So how do you enter into the market at current level? This is where asset allocation comes in handy, wherein you start nibbling into any asset allocation strategy through any investment vehicle. And then based on the dynamics of the market, whenever there is probably a pullback in equity, the equity proportion of that particular multi-asset would go up. And whenever the inflation impulse is rising and things are not moving up, then fixed income allocation goes up. So that's how you help. One is help and not getting put out by the timing issue, and this is taken care by the strategy itself. So that is the most important benefit of asset allocation. And at current scheme of things where everything is looking little expensive, this will be a very good idea to enter into. And whenever there is an opportunistic trend within any asset class, that is where the asset allocation typically starts to move. So this is the third benefit of this. And there has been a lot of empirical research that has been done in India and globally. And most of the trends that emerge in India are actually a function of what has already happened in US and other markets. If you see those research and excerpts, you will see that 90% of the asset returns that are generated for an investor is by means of asset allocation, and only 10% is by the active allocation. It might seem little fancy or hard to believe, but over a long period of time, this is the most important variable, wherein if you are able to keep a good asset allocation model in play and a dynamic one, you are able to generate a return which are matching your long-term goals with the kind of risk that you want to manage. So these are the benefits of asset allocation. And when you look at asset allocation, obviously things are changing very fast in Indian domain also, wherein you can also invest in international funds, international equity. But if you look at from a more standard or from a more, more historical standpoint, then three or four things are very comfortable. Most of the investors should be very comfortable is, one is equity, other is fixed income, third is gold, and fourth is cash. So if you look at these variables, then this is what really goes into a multi-asset model, wherein equity part typically is used to generate alpha or generate a higher degree of return. When you're looking at this based on your risk parameter, risk appetite, you can decide whether you want to be a little more risk averse by putting it more into large cap, or you can get into mid cap, small cap, or in case you are a little more aggressive, you can even look at thematic funds. So this part of the allocation is basically to generate the higher return. So based on your risk appetite, you can keep your equity allocation between 15 to 75%, 15% being for a conservative client. And second being the fixed income side. Fixed income is where you can opt for debt mutual funds, which are predominantly AAA kind. You can look at duration if that is what you want to look at, especially in a very high interest rate scenario. If we are kind of topping out in terms of rates, then that is also what you can look at. Gold is again something that should be there for risk averse investors who want to play safe and who are thinking that actually there is a possibility of a strong dip in the asset classes. So 5 to 20% allocation can be in the gold, which is a good hedge. And some people who are little averse in terms of at the current level of market can keep 20 to 30% or between 10 to 20% in cash, so that whenever there is an opportunity, they start investing into the equity bit or the bond bit wherever they are comfortable with. So these are just a broad way that how you can actually invest into an asset allocation strategy. Asset allocation strategy is offered by various investment vehicles. We keep discussing upon, and Cafe Mutual have already covered in the previous seminars. So important thing is to keep asset allocation strategy as your cornerstone in terms of how you are dealing with your funds, because no matter how much long-term emphasis we want to play on, the bottom line is if there is a 10-15% drawdown in the market in the kind of digitally connected world that we are in, we are always perturbed and we tend to take hasty decisions which are not good in long run. So by looking at asset allocation or a multi-asset allocation, one thing is assured that you get a good night's sleep even when the US futures or US market is saying a 5% down on Indian equities. So that is what a multi-asset allocation, tries to achieve for you. And it is able to obviously deliver a higher risk adjusted return, which is what all of us, especially the new investors who want to benefit from financial markets, want to achieve. With this, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, that was an extremely interesting presentation. I have just one question for you, Azim.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you, given the nature of the debt markets, should investors be looking at more interesting products such as REITs, which are now available in the Indian market?
Yes. So the way like I told you initially, financial paradigm is changing and the number of products that are also available for investors is also increasing. REITs is also a very compelling opportunity which one can look at. Having said that, the understanding of the product is pretty important because, REITs, the underlying asset being real estate investment trust, basically the rent, mechanism, how the most of these companies are collecting. So the history is something that is not there in Indian market. So maybe one part of some part of the portfolio can go into the REITs fund, but obviously the level of understanding which the REITs funds typically have is something that people have to look at. And obviously it's better to consult an investment counselor before making any these kind of decisions.
Okay, so thank you so much. And now it's time to move on to the next session. But before that, there is a small commercial break. Please come back to us after the break.